So I took a break from Monkey Island. Big whoop.
Big whoop.
You know who else did? LucasArts. You know what happened in those 6 years? The adventure game is dead, and Johns, Romero, and Cormac killed it. But in all seriousness, point-and-click adventures definitely had taken a back seat to the more fast-paced point-and-kill mechanics of id Software's first-person shooters. Add in the growing adoption of 3D accelerated graphics cards and the experiences they promised, and it was easy to see the writing on the walls for point-and-click adventure games. To make matters even worse for the Monkey Island franchise, lead developers Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman had gone off to respectively found and work at Humongous Games. And Tim Schafer was busy developing Grim Fandango in that newfangled 3D grime engine. Despite all of these hurdles, LucasArts would press ahead and sail forth on one last adventure on the now 10-year-old Scum engine. And boy am I glad they did. Behold, the pinnacle of 2D Monkey Island graphical technology. This baby can fit so many pixels in it. Now, if your only frame of reference when playing this was the original 2 games, then this was probably a pretty jarring change. Personally, having most recently come from the special editions, this doesn't look unfamiliar. I'm guessing this was probably a major inspiration for the art style in those games. If this is a jarring change for you, though, well, I have bad news about what you're going to get in 3 years. Monkey Island as a series has always excelled in offering entertaining environments full of detail to gawk at, and Curse does not disappoint here. Between 2 fairly sprawling main islands, you'll get to see pirate barbershops, Caribbean fried chicken, local wildlife, ritual volcanic sacrifice ceremonies, the location where the timelines diverge and the ensuing global thermonuclear war regresses humanity into this anachronistic age of piracy. Oh, right, and something about a theme park that seems oddly familiar. You know how in some games you can look at a scene and immediately point out exactly which objects can be interacted with, because they just seem a bit off from the rest of the scene? Yeah, Curse of Monkey Island doesn't have that problem. The items are integrated into the scenes flawlessly for the most part. It's not that they're hidden, just that everything seems to fit in, even if it's through the bizarre monkey logic that permeates this world. There were times when I was genuinely impressed that a small detail was actually an interactable part of a scene. Basically, what I'm saying is that I'm very glad the cursor highlights whenever it hovers over something that you should definitely be clicking on. The one thing that will always be a constant in this series is an amazing soundtrack. The composer, Michael Land, has worked on the Monkey Island soundtrack since the original Secret of Monkey Island, and he's mastered the art of subtly reworking the main tune and other iconic songs from earlier games to fit different scenes. This is also the first game released that would feature voice acting. The voice actors here would continue to play their parts all the way through the remainder of the series, and reprise the roles in the special edition remakes. I don't think there's a single dull performance in the entire game.
Avast there, ye lubbers! Set sail for my stronghold on Monkey Island.
How tough are you again?
Oh, I'm so tough, I could survive being flogged with a cat and 9 tails for half an hour. Or 3 cats or 5 tails for 18 minutes.
Do you have a reservation? Madre de Dios! Es el Puello Diablo!
All right, crew, let's get to work.
Our vocation's a thing we love, a thing we'd never shirk. We'll fight you in the harbor.
We'll battle you on land. When you meet singing pirates.
There'll be more than you can stand.
Oh, that was a good one.
No, it wasn't.
New coat of paint, same pointy, clicky puzzle solving. Well, that's not entirely true. The fairly minor changes to the gameplay are the result of 6 years of solid refinement of the Scum engine at LucasArts. The first 2 games had extensive lists of verbs at the bottom of the screen that you'd select before interacting with a person or object. The Monkey 1 remake killed the verb box menu, but for some reason kept all of the verbs and relied on you to select them via hotkeys or cycle through them. It was a bit of a mess, honestly. The Monkey 2 remake dropped the hotkeys for an action wheel that would offer different options for that particular object. Somehow, both of these options fall far short of the simple and elegant action coin used by Curse of Monkey Island. The action coin is in no uncertain terms the best interface used in the series. All of those verbs have been abstracted and condensed down to 3 symbols. The hand may open a container, pick up an item, or push a character. The eyes on the skull nearly always mean examining an object, but sometimes means looking through something like a window. The parrot is for talking and all other mouth-related activities. And don't worry if this sounds too abstract, because the text at the bottom of the screen will always let you know exactly which of these possible actions will happen. It's a beautiful system, and I wish the remakes would have just stuck with this beautiful, shiny coin. Another beautiful quality of life improvement that I sorely missed in the special editions was the ability to quickly travel between scenes. Simply double-click on a scene transition and you'll instantly zip to the new scene. No need to wait for Guybrush to amble to the other side of a set piece you've already thoroughly explored. The ability to open the inventory using the right mouse button means that this game is played almost entirely with the mouse. I say almost because you do technically need the keyboard to access the ScummVM options if you don't plan on sitting down and completing this whole game in a single session. Oh yeah, the game is packaged with and runs on ScummVM, an incredibly impressive and generously maintained open source recreation of the Scum engine made to work on modern systems. You don't need to know much about how it works for this game other than the fact that F5 opens the options to save and load games. There's 2 scenarios in which you'll figure this out. 1, you reach a stopping point, close the game, come back the next day to the title screen, and Google why your progress wasn't saved. Or 2, you hit escape at the end of your session, see there's no options menu, and proceed to Google it and actually manage to save your progress. Now that you've seen this video, I hope I've saved you from the first option. The game didn't warn me, and neither did the store page. For once, I think I can comfortably cover this title without any major spoilers, so feel free to stick around this time. Before we even get to the game, we're presented with an important decision. Do you want to play the easy mode or the hard mode? Do you want to play the easy mode? Easy mode?
Easy mode?
Thankfully, we gloss right over that finale to Monkey 2 with a wink and a nod by starting off with Guybrush Threepwood, Mighty Pirate, adrift at sea in a bumper car. Soon enough, he fumbles his way right back into LeChuck's clutches as LeChuck besieges a town attempting to woo Elaine Marley. This being the beginning of the game and all, of course Guybrush escapes and manages to find a massive diamond ring along the way. Well, hello there! Did I hear you're looking for an engagement ring for that special lady governor adventurer in your life? Well, then you need to consider the 5 C's. Only 5 C's should be a piece of cake for a sailor like you, right? So, what are the 5 C's, you ask? It's simple! Cut, color, clarity, carat, and of course, cursedness. That's right, cursedness! Don't trust your beloved's finger to just any old ring you find while pillaging, or you might end up like this poor schlub over here. This kicks off the 3 main acts of the game, which revolve around a journey to Blood Island in order to find another ring and a diamond that will break Elaine's curse. The first act takes place on Plunder Island, and tasks Guybrush with finding a ship, a map, and a crew to get him to Blood Island. This feels very reminiscent of Secret of Monkey Island, when you were tasked with completing the 3 pirate trials of sword fighting, treasure hunting, and thievery. A lot of this game feels like Secret, actually. If I hadn't known about the existence of Monkey 2, I could easily believe this was the direct sequel. And that's not a bad thing. This is one of those sequels that knows what made the original great and hits all of the same beats without ever really repeating itself. The trials you'll face on Plunder Island may seem similar to the 3 trials on Melee Island, but they're turned up to 11 here. Instead of just putting some dogs to sleep to steal an artifact, you have to MacGyver a solution to this one with nothing but a jawbreaker, some chewing gum, and a sewing pin. This may not be insult sword fighting, but this duel is definitely one for the history books.
What? You shot my banjo!
You can't be sure of that. That shot may have come from the grassy knoll.
I'd also just like to take the time to point out how much I enjoy the concept of these pirates turned 3-man barbershop quartet turned pirates again.
Let's go defeat that evil pirate.
We know he's sure to lose because we know just where to fire it. We're thieving balladeers.
A gang of cutthroat mugs.
To fight us off, you only guns. Just jolly good earplugs. A pirate I was meant to be. Trim the sails and roam the sea.
It's this sort of wacky, charming stuff that just keeps bringing me back to this series. But Myth, I hear you ask, how can you possibly think this lives up to Secret of Monkey Island without insult sword fighting? Oh, don't worry, we're getting there. Act 2's entire shtick is naval battles and sword fights. At the beginning of the act, this cunning linguist of a man
You're as repulsive as a monkey in a negligee.
boards your ship and steals your map, forcing you to hunt down increasingly vocabularied pirates to build up your arsenal of insults until you can face off with Captain Rottingham. Same great puzzle from the first game, but with new insults and comebacks, and this time, they rhyme.
You have the sex appeal of a Sharpay.
I look that much like your fiancé?
Nothing on this earth can save your sorry hide.
The only way you'll be preserved is in formaldehyde.
Of course, we can't entirely escape the Act 2 curse of Monkey Island games. And, in this case, it's the dreadfully boring naval combat section. Before you can board the enemy vessel, you need to defeat them in ship-to-ship combat, in what I can best describe as some sort of early 2000s internet flash game. You turn your ship and click to fire your broadsides while avoiding the enemy's attacks. Haggis will give you the option for easier naval battles, and I was a fool for not toggling it on earlier. These fights aren't hard, they're just infuriating. Save yourself some wasted time and get straight to the good stuff. There's also the aspect of using the loot you've accrued to upgrade your cannons to shoot further, I guess?
Can I interest you in some shrapnelizing ammunition designed to bring exquisite pain and unreasonable suffering to all your enemies?
They may do more damage too, I'm not really sure. It's not like there's stats on these things, and you also don't even know how much money you have at a given time, or how much a particular upgraded cannon costs. Overall, the idea just seems really half-baked, and this act would have been just fine without it. But it's also not too much of a headache. Act 3 is all about finding a ring and a diamond on Blood Island to actually lift the curse. Despite fitting on one screen, this map definitely rivals Monkey Island in number of locations and things to do. This is where Curse really gets to stand on its own 2 feet and drop any illusions from the older games.
You look familiar somehow.
Perhaps it's because I look like a big lemon.
Okay, most of the illusions. But you won't catch me complaining about the Monkey Island cannibals. You know, just in case.
I'd probably marinate you in white wine for 45 minutes. Dip you in a light corn batter. Wrap you in banana leaves and bury you in a pit with 100 hot coals. Let you roast overnight. Then I'd serve you on a bed of basmati rice with a garnish of shiitake mushrooms and shallots.
But not anymore, right?
The puzzles in this section can be every bit as devious and multi-phased as those in Monkey 2, but they don't feel forced. Every time I learned there was a new step to a puzzle, it made sense to me. Instead of a random act of God keeping me from my goal, there's an existing in-universe explanation. This ghostly figure won't row me to Skull Island without a compass, because he has learned from personal experience that that's a terrible idea. I can't get any information out of the bartender at the beginning, because he has a debilitating hangover and I'll need to whip up a cure for him. Everything in this game has an internal logic to it, and it's not moon logic, it's monkey logic. Wait, no, not like that. Bad Monkey Island 2! Alright, I promise I'm almost done with the Monkey Island 2 comparisons, but the final act of this game demands that I do this. Ultimately, Curse's final puzzle boils down to the same two key elements of the final puzzle of Monkey 2. Use a recipe from a puzzle earlier in the game, and solve a timed puzzle spread throughout multiple rooms. Let's take a look at both aspects. Curse actually splits these two elements out over two distinct puzzles. So let's take a look at the first one. The trick in Monkey 2 was never to realize what object you needed to create. It was fairly clear from the beginning of the final sequence. The trick was figuring out where to find each item in a surprising but overall very bland and samey environment. In Curse, you were confined to a single screen in a dense and interesting environment. You're not exactly sure what you need to do to progress. That is, until you start obtaining items, and you start thinking to yourself, wait, I've seen this somewhere before. That moment when the solution clicks is magical in this puzzle, and is probably my favorite puzzle confined to a single scene in the entire series. After solving the recipe puzzle, you get one final puzzle that runs on a soft timer, just like the final battle of Monkey 2. Instead of wandering around literally the same copy and pasted room and praying to the RNG gods that LeChuck doesn't instantly appear, you ride through various scenes in this totally legally distinct, non-intellectual property infringing theme park ride. Unlike Monkey 2, however, the timer for how long it takes LeChuck to appear in a scene is not random. You'll always get at least 1 or 2 coaster cycles for you to take in the scene and collect what you need before he'll appear. And you never need to wait for him to obtain an item, only for the final action of the sequence which will lead to his defeat. This is the way you handle a chase segment in Monkey Island, and is a complete redemption of the idea I felt was so terribly executed in Monkey 2. Now, I don't usually give a numeric score because they just seem so arbitrary, but when Ron Gilbert himself gave me a rubric for creating the perfect third Monkey Island game in a blog post, well, I just couldn't resist. So, I present to you the Gilbert Scale of Monkey Island 3 goodness. While his original post has 17 points, most of them are not actually features that can feasibly be measured in a game and are more so the ramblings of an endearingly grumpy old gamer. So, I've condensed it down to just the relevant points. It would be a retro game that harkened back to Monkey Island 1 and 2. I'd do it as an enhanced low-res, nice crisp retro art, but augmented by hardware we have today. Parallaxing, depth of field, warm glows, etc. It would be a hardcore adventure game, driven by what made that era so great. No tutorials or hint systems or pansy-ass puzzles, or catering to the mass market, or modernizing. I would lose the verbs. Full-on inventory. Nice, big, juicy icons full of pixels. There would be a box. There would be dialogue puzzles.
We'll surely avoid scurvy if we all eat an orange.
And,
Well, door hinge? No. Guess the song's over then.
guess so.
Okay, back to work.
I would rebuild Scum. Not Scum as in the exact same language, but what Scum brought to those games. Alright, so this game was written in Scum, so it has all the benefits of Scum, being Scum and all. I know this blog post is directed at the later games in the series mainly, but you certainly can't fault Curse of Monkey Island for not being scummy enough. I'm giving it the point since it was written in the final iteration of the Scum engine. That makes it the scummiest of all the games. It would be made with a very small team, not 30 or 20, but 10 or less. It would have full voice.
Make me boulders and largo la grande.
Nice.
Do you really need this section to know that I love this game? This is it. This is peak Monkey Island. It can really only go downhill from here. The puzzles, the dialogue, how integrated and goal-oriented the story is, it all just comes together. The new direction the art style took may put off players of the original two games, but it really is worth giving a shot and it really brings this charming little world to life. The game can be very challenging at times, but I never got the feeling that I was the butt of some joke, or that they were just trying to pad out the playtime. I spent just about 10 hours completing this game from start to finish, the longest I've spent on a game in the series so far, and I enjoyed every minute of it. This game, as usual, is available on Steam and GOG for just $7, or less than $3 during a sale. I hope you all enjoy this review. I have to enjoy it while I can, because I'm staring down the barrel of Escape from Monkey Island next. Wish me luck. Come back next month for a completely unbiased review of that.